All right, hello and welcome to the podcast Eat Better Food Today. I'm your host, Ken Cunningham, and I'm excited to be sharing insights on why we believe that health and longevity begins with the food we eat. The goal of this podcast will be to inspire, educate, and enable folks to live a healthier life and do it affordably. My wife and I have been on this journey for over 10 years and continue to work on it every single day. Percent of the profits from this podcast will be put towards child hunger with an initial focus on the poorest suburb in America, East Cleveland, Ohio. As a reminder, please be sure to visit my website, Eat Better Food Today, for links on the show, videos, recipes, books, and articles that our guests provide. On this episode, we're grateful to have Sara Continenza. She is the Executive Director of Food Strong. She was a member of the Peace Corps in West Africa, holds a Master's in Public Administration, and serves as a Ward 3 Councilwoman in South Euclid. She has been Executive Director of Food Strong since 2018, founded to support health equity, food access, environmental stewardship, community beautification, and economic development. In this episode, we'll explore Sara's thoughts on food, health, and longevity and discuss what continues to inspire her. Welcome, Sara.
Thanks for having me.
So I still believe that a good start to every day begins with a healthy breakfast, but I get very mixed answers on this question. So let's start with what you had for breakfast this morning.
What I had for breakfast this morning, I was on the go. So I ended up getting an egg and cheese sandwich on my way to the office.
Mm-hmm.
And when I got there, I pulled from my tower some hydroponic lettuces and herbs and added them to my sandwich. So I was able to add some healthy nutrition.
Nice. Very nice.
I have to start my day with some protein that's my specific body. Some people, do better without breakfast or just some fruit. Everyone's different. My big thing is just listen to your body.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, I think starting with protein is a good idea. The healthy greens is really, really good too. So the other kind of opening question here is home pantry is an important part of a healthy food program. So if we were to go into your home pantry at home, what would we find?
Well, so you're going to see the home pantry of a very busy person who doesn't spend a lot of time at home and who every time goes to the store to get fresh produce ends up having that rot or going into the compost. So I do a lot of frozen, actually, because we know that frozen foods are picked at their prime moment of ripeness, and therefore they're going to have the most nutritional density. And so, actually they can be more nutritionally dense than a lot of the fresh produce you find at the grocery store, which is often picked unripe so it can transport easier across the country or the world to arrive to its destination, and then gassed upon arrival to turn the color it's supposed to be. So that's why you'll often hear people say, I don't like tomatoes. I'm like, have you had a sun-ripened homegrown tomato? Completely different experience than the ones that were picked green, shipped, and then gassed at the arrival at the grocery store. So frozen is a big thing in my pantry. I keep different dried goods, quinoas, wild rice, things like that. A lot of natural ancient grains that have not been tampered with genetically over the centuries. And I try to grow as many herbs as possible in my kitchen as well.
In your kitchen?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
So I'll pull in, actually I have basil growing from last year that I put in a pot and brought inside the house, and it's still growing.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I try to do that, but I do not have success on them. They don't seem to want to continue to grow when I bring them inside.
I have those self-watering pots. It helps because it keeps the moisture in from the bottom up. Oftentimes when you've had something in a pot for a while, the water doesn't get fully into the root system. So if you water from bottom up, you'll know you're getting the even moisture, and it will have a more chance of survival.
I'll have to try that.
The more you know.
Because I've killed a couple of plants this winter. So can you give us like an overview of being executive director of Food Strong? I know you're passionate about promoting social justice, reducing health disparities in underserved communities, but what are you doing as executive director of Food Strong?
Oh, what am I not doing? After today, I'm going to teach a class because, as we continue to expand, we continue to, need support in a lot of ways. So we have an amazing staff. Stephanie Budd is our education manager, and she is a pro at keeping all this in order. We're right now in 13 schools. But as we expand, we're not quite where we need to be to have another full-time, teacher. but we also need for support. So I'm pinch hitting wherever I need to be in the organization as we're in this growth phase. But most of my job is, building and nurturing relationships. We are very, very passionate about collaboration. It's how you get anything done that's lasting. We have a very lean operational budget. And so for, all of those indirect costs, we keep them low because we're able to share resources, share work, and support one another, and then that helps a lot. So I build a lot of those relationships and nurture them. But I have my hands in a little bit of everything. I'll write some grants, try to keep up with the swampy email inbox I have, which is impossible at this point. And attending as many community events as I can too, because not only is collaboration super important to me, but engaging with and around the communities we serve. I'd like to say that we strive to work with, not for, because that's a completely different mindset. And if you really want to impact and affect change in a community, you want to make sure that those folks are at the table with you, because it's their community and they know more than anyone else about what needs to happen there, what's already there, and how we can grow together. So I would say, fostering collaboration and those community engagement pieces are super important. And then just, making sure that, we are up to date in terms of the technology we use. I'm working on trying to put a lot more of our, operations onto digital platforms, which can streamline a lot of our operations and save up some time. And for that reason, actually, we are looking for an operations manager to kind of oversee the day-to-day and make sure our programs and educational classes are, being maintained and coordinated properly, and all that, because every team member I have wears a lot of hats. And I just want to make sure that they get that level of support they need so that I can be freed up to help continue to move to a bigger picture.
Nice. So when you go into the school, what do you do when you go into school? What happens there?
Every day is different. Every week's different. I mean, I would have been outside today, but it's Cleveland, so we're going to pivot and plant seedlings in the classroom and take care of them for the next 2 weeks until I come back. Normally we're there every week. This is in Shaker. We're there every other week. But every school's a little different. We don't have a one-size-fits-all model because our students get to have a direct say in how we operate the program and in what order we run our different lessons. Obviously spring, summer, and fall we're very garden heavy, planting seedlings, going in the garden, watering, maintaining the garden, harvesting the garden. Off months we're often doing a lot more cooking classes, culinary arts workshops. We do nutrition, teach you how to read the nutrition labels on boxes and what to go toward and what to try to avoid more often. And then we also have a whole entrepreneurial component to our work where we offer education around starting your own business and those various workforce development skills that can be utilized in a lot of areas of life. And we fold all of this through the lens of STEAM. Everyone has a different learning style and different interests, so we bring in various approaches. We're very arts heavy. We'll bring in mentors, local muralists, artists to work with our scholars and reflect their unique and individual interests and passions. So some schools are really excited about more of the garden, so we spend a lot more time out there. Maybe a school they care, but maybe they care more about the culinary. We'll offer some more culinary lessons because we like to directly reflect our students' values and show them that they are very important stakeholders in this process. So we do a lot of that, but every week is different, and we have to pivot with weather or school closings, or there's a lot we pivot around, but we always make it work, and we have a whole arsenal of workshops and lessons that we can bring to the table based on a variety of factors.
So what ages in the schools? What ages do you work with?
Right now we are in everywhere from kindergarten through college.
Oh, wow.
So we our major focus has been upper elementary school, but we do serve high school. We're in a couple elementary, several middle schools. So we see a wide variety. We're also teaching some workshops at Cleveland State right now.
Nice. So I'm just going to kind of list off and then kind of ask you to maybe share. You kind of described the school program, but I mean, you talked about the youth entrepreneurship. You've got school gardens and culinary arts that's part of the school program. You've got Caravan, Care Strong. You do farmers markets, vacant lot restoration, Fresh Food Connect. So there's a lot.
What are you talking about? There's nothing. We don't do anything.
So I don't know, maybe just highlight one of the, like maybe the vacant lot
Sure.
one or Fresh Food Connect, kind of what's going on in those programs.
100%. So, as you said, we have a wide variety of programs. They're kind of focused in three major areas. We have our school programming, but that also ties in other educational programs like culinary arts classes we teach. We go out to different events and run workshops on how to prepare healthy meals on a budget, even with limited access. So we have that educational component. We also have our mobile farm stand, which is a big part of our learning garden we have at the Coit Market in East Cleveland. And what we do with that is that we grow our fresh foods and then sell them in a variety of communities that don't have grocery stores. We accept different incentives like SNAP, and we post up in places that might not have a lot of access. And so we're trying to fill in those gaps and meet people where they are, because a lot of people don't have good access to transportation. Our vacant lot restoration initiative, this is a partnership with Cuyahoga County, the County Land Bank, and Riddell Green Partnership. And so we engage with local community groups to learn about their goals for their communities and create with them community engaged initiatives that restore vacant lots in their communities through sustainable agriculture. But it could look different in every site. One site might want a garden, another wants a pocket park, another wants to do a hoop house, to grow their food all year round. Everyone's different, and we work with them in their communities to build those initiatives and create sustainability. So that's the Vacant Lot Project. Fresh Food Connect is kind of a smaller initiative where we help gather and collect freshly grown foods and plants that aren't being used. And we take these donations in, people get a tax write-off for them, and then we'll use them in our programs, distribute them to our students, our clients.
So donations from?
If you have a garden, or if you grow it at home and you have a bunch of extra tomato plants, we'll take those. We don't let anything go to waste. And then our last major program would be our health and wellness component, right? And so that would be our Caravan and Care Strong. So we have partnerships with Case Physician Assistant Program and University Hospitals Department of Family Medicine. They bring out their clinical students to offer health screenings, build relationships with our communities, and engage about how diet and lifestyle can prevent, manage, and reverse chronic disease. And not only is that really great for our clients to get access to these numbers in a trusting, safe, comfortable environment, but it's building trust back in the healthcare system, which has been broken over time for very good reason. And I understand why people don't have trust. I mean, a lot of times there's been inequities in healthcare. And so building relationships with the new generation reduces that lack of trust, but then also prepares future generations to serve a variety of demographics. A lot of the students that we work with are from rural or suburban areas and aren't exposed to places like East Cleveland, are often scared to come to our events in East Cleveland until they come, and then they build relationships with our people and realize these people are awesome. This is an awesome community. I want to do more here. I've had students even change trajectories to public health because of this program and learning through this program. So it's wonderful on all sides, and trust building and all that. So we do the health screenings and then bring in local chefs and community wraparound resources, etc., to different settings, including now through our mobile farm stand, to help create fun environments around fresh food and wellness, so people enjoy the process of learning more about how food is medicine.
So is the health screenings, is that done at your garden? Do you do that at schools? Where does that?
So our Care Strong project is mostly where we do the screenings. We also do them at caravans at Coit once a week or once a month at the market. So Care Strong happens at the East Cleveland Salvation Army, and that is fourth Wednesdays of the month. And then we also work at Zelma George Women's and Children's Shelter downtown. That's not open to the public, but we bring our students and offer regular screenings at those sites. And then on second Saturdays of the month, May through October, we are also in at the Coit Road Farmers Market and having a big party, just trying to get the community out, engaged. We'll pay people to participate through coupons to spend at the market, and we also connect them to a variety of other resources through the process, and it's just really fun. We have a ton of people that come out and volunteer to perform music, do arts and crafts with the kids, give out books. There's all kinds of different ways to be involved, and if you're a nonprofit, you can set up a table for free, and people are incentivized to come see you, because the more people they see through the process, the more stamps they get on their passport, and then the more stamps means more coupons for the market.
Oh, nice, very nice. Yeah, and I think there's more of a recognition by, you mentioned university hospitals, but the clinic, Metro, they seem to be recognizing more needs to be done in some of these neighborhoods too, so.
Yes, and I'm hoping to see more and more of the produce prescriptions programs come out in terms of getting people access to fresh foods that are going to be helpful for their specific health needs and conditions. You know, some medicines mean you shouldn't eat certain other foods. People don't often know that. Or, you know, sometimes people are on the cusp of getting chronic disease and just really need to change their lifestyle now. So giving people the resources to be able to do that, so they aren't so reliant upon medicines and reactive, healthcare. Be preventative.
Right.
And food is the best way to do that.
Yeah, instead of waiting till you're sick, do something before you get sick.
Well, it's way easier and cheaper to stay well than to get well, right?
Yes, that actually leads, so I'm going to share a quote and I want to get your thoughts on this. So the February 2024 National Library of Medicine published research on food as medicine across the pediatric age continuum, and they basically said the rates of food insecurity were significantly higher than the previous year, so 2023 at 12.8% in the U.S., 17.3% in households with children. So that's pretty significant. And then in children, food insecurity is associated with poor quality diet, poor health, excess health care, utilization, lower cognitive performance. And then the households that are experiencing food insecurity have approximately $2,400 more in annual health care expenditures than people that have the access to food in the neighborhoods. So you were recently quoted, one of the articles I read, that you're trying to increase access to local foods to about 50% in the greater Cleveland area. And in East Cleveland, I mean, that would go probably from 10% to 50%. I mean, it's pretty low in that particular neighborhood. So I know you're doing a lot with schools. Can you share your thoughts on health as it relates to diet and nutrition?
I'll often say that poverty charges interest. Because if you can't afford those fresh foods, it's going to be a lot harder to afford diet, issues around diabetes or blood pressure, cancer, all these other things that are directly related to the foods we consume. If you can't get your teeth cleaned regularly, having to, reverse the damage done from rotting teeth and plaque buildup and all that's going to be a lot more expensive. So it's no surprise that the communities that are experiencing poverty in general are the ones that are having healthcare costs so sky high, because it's hard enough to get through every day, and then trying to get the things that are more preventative, like the fresh healthy stuff. It can be really challenging. And that's why we really strive to help meet people where they are. I'm not going to come to East Cleveland that doesn't even have a grocery store for the entire city, of 14,000 people at this point. It's gone down a lot, but the entire city, not one fully functioning grocery store, and shop at Whole Foods to do so. I'm not doing that. What are you going to do with this knowledge of how to cook quinoa? You don't even have a grocery store to buy it at. So, we'll go to places like food pantries and dollar stores and make sure that whatever we're bringing can be prepared without grocery store foods. And then you can always add, and we'll show you how to add in anything you can access, including stuff growing in the wild. There's plenty of food that grows everywhere that's very nutritious. We call them weeds, and we kill them with stuff that kills our environment, but those weeds are extremely nutritious. I think of dandelions, even though they're not native to our region, they've been cultivated for over 1,000 years in China. Extremely nourishing, and every part of the plant is usable. So it's all about attitude. Looking at that, there's food growing here.
Well, and education too. I mean, a lot of people don't, even with fresh foods, if they had that, they wouldn't know what to do with it. Some things that I know I won't list the organization, but anyways, that organizations that are trying to help people eat healthy, they'll bring produce, but there's no direction on what to do with that produce. You don't know what to do with a spaghetti squash. You don't know what to do with a lot of other
Or
items.
if you don't have a fully functioning kitchen.
Or exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, that's why we're very passionate about, like I said, the accessibility piece. So we'll do a recipe that's just cans, not even cooked, whenever possible, and I'll show you. And you can cook it if you want. You can add different things if you want. You can add meat, whatever you want to do. But we'll start with the foundation that you can access. All you need is a can opener, a bowl, spoon, some things like that. But that's also why we're really passionate about our school programming. We're very, very excited about our growing relationship with CMSD, Cleveland Metropolitan School District, and specifically, we've always worked with their science department. We're very blessed about that. They helped us start the program, and the nutrition department. Now I know that you had Bob on recently, the nutrition director. So that partnership has really helped us a lot because we're able to now create a better, more streamlined system where we all work together. And if, they just got food corps, which is amazing. So they'll be in some schools, we'll be in some schools, we don't have to duplicate. And every school that we're going to be in through dollars from United Way, Greater Cleveland, we'll be able to put in a salad bar in every school we're in now. And, we also get support from groups like the Right Aid Healthy Futures Foundation. So that helps us serve more schools and expand our impact. And with all these different, financial barriers that the schools are experiencing right now, because a lot of those COVID dollars dried up. This is a great way for us to stretch and still make this very important programming happen. And by growing the foods on site, we're getting more access to these fresh ingredients that can be used in the healthy snack programs. And we're also really excited about, working with our students to become leaders, educators, and ambassadors for what we do. So if I tell you something, it's not going to really stick as much as one of your peers telling you. So teaching our students how to be the teachers, creating materials to educate their peers and communities and families about, well, what is this? Why is it healthy? How do you grow it? Here, taste it. How does that taste? What do you like? What do you do? So those fresh food ambassador programs that we're starting to really try to get launched starting in the next year through these United Way dollars is going to be really instrumental in that, because we'll see a big impact. If I tell you the dangers of Red 40, you might care. You'll still eat those Takis or Doritos, right? But if you have someone saying, hey, I did the research, I made a poster, and I'm presenting it to my peers about X, Y, or Z, and then you're teaching one another, I've noticed that definitely has a bigger impact on people's, mindsets. And so, that's why I'm really excited about this growing partnership with the district. And this, so as we move forward, we're all educating one another. And I learn a lot from my students too. So this movement, I think, is going to be so critical. This partnership with CMSD and with what we're doing in the schools in general, in terms of making this a system. This isn't just a program over here and a program over there, but together we can all contribute to a system change. Because I don't think people realize every school in Cleveland, every school at CMSD had a garden until I think the mid 70s. That money went into busing the kids in, and most of the gardens all went away. But it was the most robust program, and it was valued because of how important this education is. This is survival. We don't have home ec anymore. We don't have other programs teaching our kids daily, survival. How do you cook your next meal? How do you balance your checkbook? How do you build something? Like, we're leaving school with no skills now, and, I hope that we can keep going back to how things were done not even that long ago, 50, 60 years, and restore this knowledge, because this is how our future will be restored. Because not only are the processed foods people are eating now detrimental to their physical health, but to their, social, emotional, academic, mental, emotional outcomes, and we're seeing the toll it takes. You can read the side effects of some of these additives they use in the food they give every day to these kids, and they cause the very same things that then are being responded to by medicine.
Exactly.
Food is the best medicine.
Good food is the best medicine.
Well, food is the best medicine, or it can be the worst form of poison.
Right. So how do you encourage, so you're doing a lot, which is fantastic, with kind of schools and kids, but how do you encourage parents to cook healthy at home? Because a lot of parents will say, well, it takes too long, it's too expensive. Like you said, I don't have the right tools maybe to do it in certain neighborhoods. So how do you get people?
Well, through our school program and other community programs, we actually bring in recipes that tell you how to make it, and also what other ingredients could be used and how to use it, like how much it might cost, and then also, how that you can, shop for these materials if you don't have a grocery store. So we'll teach our students and our clients that, and they can take it home. So not every parent's going to be swayed, but a lot of times parents are swayed when their kid's screaming in the line for that candy bar, right? So if we can change that to, Mommy, can I have that apple? Mommy, can we get this or that? I learned how, peanut butter and carrots taste really good together. Can we try that today? Instead of, the stuff that they're typically addicted to because of all these additives, which are addictive. So it starts with having our scholars, our students, our youth demand better. Then that will see its way into the home. I've had principals tell me that parents are calling them and saying that, they're really excited about this new knowledge their kids are bringing home because they're using it. Nice. Even learning how to take an app and use it to scan barcodes. So now the parents could see directly, well, this is actually dangerous. So sometimes it's just a little bit of knowledge that once gained can help change people's mindsets. And it doesn't always happen, and that's okay. But even if we can't get it into the home, potentially we could change future generations. I mean, so it's a step-by-step process, and hopefully as well by teaching our communities how to grow their own food, identify food in the wild, shop locally, go to the farmers markets, use their SNAP benefits, double your money with SNAP on fresh produce at farmers markets, further supporting local businesses, which is all supporting your local economy, your local community. All these things, I think, not one alone can make much of a difference, but together can. I always will tell people the best vote you have is the dollar that you spend. And every dollar you spend is a vote you cast for the type of world you want to live in.
Nice. I've got agreement, so the nutritionist for the Cavs, Cleveland Cavaliers, has agreed to be on the podcast after the season's over. But one of the goals for them, I mean, if you're a basketball player in the NBA, you are not eating tacos or Cheetos or any of that. You're eating healthy because you have to perform, and
your body's a machine.
Exactly.
You're treating like that.
So one of their goals is to get this nutritionist to get athletes to start advertising about healthy food. So we're not there yet, but that would be especially for kids. That's a huge influence on what they're going to eat, what they watch.
I always use the analogy. I'm like, if you are a race car, do you think that they're going to be filling you up with used, dirty fuel, or fuel that is less than high quality? No. If you were a car, what kind of fuel would you want to use in yourself? It's the same thing with the foods you eat. And so I think attributing it to people that are looked up to would be a very powerful move.
So kind of along those same lines, this is the last quote I'll share this kind of gets, I believe, to the root of kind of what we're talking about here. So a March study, British Medical Journal, pointed out that 58% of the U.S. diet is now from ultra-processed foods. I've heard figures as high as 70%, but that's what they published. But when you go overseas, like Italy, it's 10%. So that just, what they're eating in Europe versus what we're eating here in the U.S. is markedly different. You can even buy, I've actually posted on Instagram, a box of macaroni and cheese in the U.S. and a box of macaroni and cheese in the U.K. The ingredients are different. They're healthier for whatever reason.
Because some of the ingredients we use here, many of them, thousands of them actually, are banned.
Yeah.
Banned because of how dangerous they are.
And in the UK, you can read the ingredients that are in that box of macaroni and cheese. So
yeah, you can actually pronounce them too.
Exactly. So in those products, like we're kind of talking about, they don't fill you up. You're still hungry after you eat them. They don't have nutritional value, and they're not gonna, you're just gonna be hungry an hour later. So another quote that I pulled that you said is, people are overfed and undernourished. So how do you define whole foods, I guess? Because we know what ultra-processed is, because you can't read the ingredients or the labels, or it doesn't fill you up. So how do you define whole foods?
So, a whole food is something very minimally processed, right? very few things done to it. And unfortunately, with the way our culture is set up, with the way things are set up here currently, with big ag and all these things, it would be really hard to be like Europe and do only 10% whole food, unprocessed food, unfortunately. I always tell, and it's not even like the fact that it's processed. Some processed foods are a lot healthier than others. And sometimes that's really all that people can get, if they don't have a grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want to just smash talk it, because sometimes that's what it is, and I never say, don't ever eat this. I'll say, try to moderate it.
Mm-hmm.
Try to just every now and then enjoy it was a special occasion. If you do it all the time, it loses its fun anyway, right?
Right. Yeah, we're never saying not ever eat any of that stuff.
Exactly. I try to be very careful and mindful too, because if you're going to a place that only has corner stores, and that's all you can really find, then, that you have to make do. So I'll say, look, like there's certain types of processing, right? You could have potato chips or, the Doritos and things like that. At least the potato chips, it's sliced potato. It's in oil with salt.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably not the best oil. Frying isn't the best for you, but you can pronounce and count those ingredients, and you can visualize where it came from. Unlike other things, even the Pringles and stuff. That's just ground up other stuff. So turn that label around and read the ingredients. Can you envision it? Because does it look like what it was grown to look like? A potato chip literally just looks like what it was, a sliced potato cooked, right? So that, to me, I would just promote that. If you really want something salty or crunchy, or that's the snacks available, choose that over the one that has the laundry list of ingredients that might be geoengineered. Look for that, because we don't. I'm not saying that all geoengineered are bad either, but we don't know. We don't have long-term studies, so being mindful of just not being a guinea pig for this type of stuff. But the whole foods that we try to promote are grown mindfully, without chemicals and pesticides, washed, prepared, cut up, add a little something if you want for taste, cooked maybe if they need it. Some foods are better for you cooked anyway, they have more nutrition, released in the process of cooking. Some are better raw. Everything's different. Your taste buds are different. But if it looks like what it was grown to be, and if it had fewer things done to it, that to me is a good rule. Even if it is processed, because you can't avoid processed. I'm on the go all the time, like I said. I eat processed too sometimes. It's just turn that ingredient list around, scan that barcode, educate yourself, and find the things that are less harmful.
Right. I always try to say less than 6 ingredients and make sure you can understand what the ingredients are.
Exactly.
So
So seeing, okay, this is what it was. I could see it in its form, right?
Mm-hmm.
If it's gonna be puffed rice over, something that, like a bar that has 1 billion ingredients and you don't know where they came from or what was done to them.
Mm-hmm.
Puffed rice is just the puffed rice, whatever's added for flavor.
Right.
Way more, able to envision what that is and where it came from.
So as Councilwoman, I know there's discussion, and I don't know if this has gone through yet or not, but legislation to reduce the number of fast food restaurants in South Euclid.
So it's not as much as to reduce. We're not going to be able to get rid of any, We have so many. Like everywhere you turn, there's another one. Some are locally owned. Some are better than others. Like, to me, I'm not against fast food. I know it's sometimes people rely on it when they're on the go, or they don't have a lot of money and it's just something to feed your family for affordably. I'm not judging it. What I'm saying is it's so easy to be a fast food restaurant in our commercial districts right now. I just think we need to have more steps in line to make it more of a process, so that, and also on top of that, make it easier and more attractive for local businesses, particularly ones that promote something healthy, to come into our city through tax abatements and other incentives. So I really want to draw in certain things and make it harder for other things to come. I'm not saying you can't come. I'm not saying you have to leave. I'm saying, can we just make it more of a process till we have a little more accountability in the types of things coming to our community, because the amount of fast food, deep fried things, processed ingredients that are available in our community on the go compared to the healthy stuff, fresh, whatever, it's night and day, and to me it's a public health crisis.
Yeah, I agree. So besides food, it's kind of what this show is about, but a very important health and longevity and avoiding chronic disease is also exercise. So, do you do anything with your?
Always.
Okay.
Well, gardening is a wonderful exercise, first of all. Second of all, HEAL. The acronym for HEAL is healthy eating, active living, right? Active living is a huge part of it. We have our blender bike that we can bring out to events, so you got to pedal for that smoothie, right? So you get your exercise, then you get your healthy eating. It's fun. We'll always try to get our students out to move around. And if you get done early, I want you to go play. Go, run, play, get it out. No kid should have to sit around that long, because school, you're sitting around a lot.
Yeah.
And that's very hard. I can't even, I'm already ready to get out of this chair. How do you, if you have that much energy as a kid, how are you supposed to do it? So, it's good for everyone. It's good for us. Us adults are always sitting too nowadays. We're in our cars, we're in our desks. So, having fun and getting creative with how we get our kids out. I mean, even if it's just an icebreaker, stand up, take some breaths, move around, stretch, and we love to reward our students with healthy activities. So once you get your stuff done, you did a good job, you're gonna go outside and play. I'm not gonna reward you with candy, I'm gonna reward you with something that's gonna benefit your health.
Nice, very nice. So 2020 was a very challenging year for the planet.
What are you talking about? It was a breeze.
So I guess the question is, what have you learned from your journey, various roles, responsibilities you had in your career, since, before and after 2020, I guess?
I've made up a new dance. It's called the pivot dance, because you got to pivot all the time. 2020, I'm still a brand new organization. Only in 2 schools. Budget of $19K, total for the organization for the year. And when I couldn't be in the schools anymore, and one of the schools I was in, my first ever school, Iowa Maple, which will always have my heart. What a wonderful community, wonderful school, wonderful kids. When that closed permanently, 2 weeks after the lockdowns, and these kids never even got a chance to see each other, say goodbye to each other, I was not about to stop my work. So even though I couldn't get paid anymore for my work, which I wasn't making much at the time anyway, I received my unemployment so I could make ends meet, and I kept Food Strong going. And we brought our students to around the corner from their school at the Coit Road Farmers Market. We built our learning garden together. And no, a lot of people weren't doing anything at that time, or they do it, there was all virtual, all remote. You didn't have a chance to connect with people, build relationships, and being uniquely positioned because we're outside, safer, more open air environment. We brought a bunch of people to us. They were able to garden, grow food together, learn valuable skills, create connections. I was told by countless people that our programs and what we offered were integral for people's mental health, adults, kids, everyone. And what it taught me that year was, just because it doesn't look like what you thought it was going to look like doesn't mean it's not going to happen the way it's supposed to. I'm a big believer in God, and every day I wake up, and through that whole process, I woke up every day and I prayed and I asked for guidance, and I was led into these changes, which are still part of my organization to this day. We still have our learning garden. It keeps expanding. We cultivate there now our food for our mobile farm stand. We host field trips. We host hundreds and hundreds of volunteers a year now. Big groups. I mean, we're going to be hosting another 100 Nestle employees, and they've donated to us in the next couple weeks. So it's a great place now for that, because we want people to be engaged with our work. And it's a wonderful tool for that. And that wouldn't have happened without getting kicked out of schools for a little bit of time, and either not doing anything for that time or pivoting. And so pivoting is very important, and it's never over, right? It's just, it might look different, so there's some organizations out there that they might be afraid, well, what if I'm no longer needed? You're always needed. There's so many needs. You might just have to change your approach to reflect the different and changing or growing needs of something. So it really, because no one else was doing, not no one, a lot of people were not doing anything in person at that point, it brought a lot of attention to us, because anytime the news station wanted to talk about something going on that was helping the community through this situation, we were featured, because There were not a lot of other things happening in person. So it was it was a good pivot. And so 2020 taught me to pivot. It also taught me the value of life. I was almost killed that year by a dog. Almost blinded me / killed me. And, for that moment in time where I thought I'm either dead or forever mangled, nothing's ever going to be the same again. It really, that, how everyone gets that flash of your life across, in your mind. When that happened, I realized that I would be okay with it, because I do feel like I've done so much to follow my passion, follow God, and I feel content where I am. But it also just really emphasized to me the importance of being thankful for every moment and making every moment count. And that's why doing things like the pivot dance are so important, just to keep up with life. You're going to have letdowns, you're going to have no's. I've had a lot of no's lately. I am not letting that stop me. It pushes me further. So.
Well, I had one of those near-death experiences a couple of years ago, and that's why I'm doing the podcast. So I completely understand.
It is life-changing.
It is life-changing, absolutely.
And it's what you do with that information. So
right. Now
you're helping others with that experience, and that's a blessing.
Yeah, absolutely. So what would you say, what's next for you in Food Strong?
What's next? Well, we're in this growth phase, and so I really need to get someone to take on operations. I'd also like to start really executing this new 5-year strategic plan that my board put together and under the leadership of Bone and Feather LLC. It's a wonderful strategy firm. And its owner, Kevin Ament, who is on our board, did this all pro bono for us. And it really helped us refine our direction, make sure we're not going in too many directions, but really hone in and create more revenue generating, streams. And so we're going to really fully build that out so that we have more financial flexibility to keep growing. But also, I want to make sure we don't grow too much. I want to cap our growth and do what we're doing really, really well, and then create models that can be replicated and scaled in other communities. So we don't have to do everything everywhere. We want to teach others to do it the way we do it. And so I think that'll be the next thing is, eventually I'd like to go national with our curriculum and with our approach, and how that approach is married into other community engaged initiatives, such as vacant lot restoration, collaborations amongst various institutions and community partners, because we can't do this alone.
Right.
If we want to really make a systems change, we have to work not only with the schools, but with healthcare institutions, with political institutions and public sector groups. So not at the private sector. I mean, they have a lot of resources. Everyone needs to be part of this. And so I think as I continue to refine our operations and create sustainability, I'd like to focus more and more on the bigger picture and how this all aligns with policy. I was just at a conference, a school garden conference in San Diego a couple weeks ago. And it was a really wonderful experience. And I would talk to a lot of professionals that have been doing things in their own states, such as if, for example, you serve at least, I think it's 30% fresh food in your school lunch program, you get 19 more cents per student as part of your, stipend.
Where is this?
That, I think, was that New York?
So it's like a state program, I guess?
Right. So I started learning things that would be really great here in Ohio that could help. Because it's really hard to, feed your scholars healthy, fresh local foods when you're only getting a couple bucks reimbursed per child.
Right.
But if you could make that money go further, I think that things like that I would really like to start pursuing from my political hat, more policies that will help others make these changes at a bigger level. Because every kid deserves fresh, scratch prepared breakfast and lunch at every school. They deserve it, and I know that we'll see better academic, health, and behavior outcomes as a result. So those are the things I'd like to do next.
Fantastic. Somebody actually asked me this question, I couldn't answer it, but like when you do a learning garden, so you said 13 schools, you've got gardens set up, what happens in the summertime? Because the kids aren't in school year round.
Some are, and we work with those kids whenever possible. If not, so for example, our funding from Rite Aid Healthy Futures Foundation covers the school year. Okay. So in the off months, we can pay a stipend to students or volunteers to come out. We also right now have developed a adopt a garden program, and a local business can even sponsor that adoption, and it gets on signage and everything for that site, and then they get to send out their volunteers, their staff to be part of it, and not only garden, maintain it, but also harvest from it, get some of those fresh foods, plant some of the things they might like with our approval. And now you have a garden that you don't have to keep all year round in your yard, or buy any supplies for. So it's kind of a win-win for people that want to be a part of something bigger, get some volunteer hours, and again, that community engagement is so important for us. So that Adopt a Garden program is something we're launching this summer, and we are hoping to get a lot of buy-in and support from our communities, our students, their families, anyone that lives near the schools, so that they can be even more holistically incorporated into our work. So that's our plan for now. At the conference, I was learning about some of the stuff going on, I think, in Denver around creating school community gardens. So it's like a blend of a school garden that is also approached as a community garden in the summertime.
Okay. Yeah, we have a community garden where I live, and there's 3 of the 22 plots are kind of maintained by a local school.
Yeah. And so that sharing also helps a lot too, because it's too much for any one group to take on, and we learned that the hard way. And trying to go back in the fall after a summer of neglect is not fun.
Exactly. All right, so we always end the show with a recipe. So recipe that you can make under 30 minutes, few ingredients, feed the family of 4, under $25.
Sure. Go to your dollar store or your pantry. Okay, you're gonna get whatever cans of vegetables you can possibly find. Right, this is easy. You can also get the dried. Dried is cheaper. It's gonna spread farther. It takes longer, so it depends on your time and what you want to do. But get those beans. Very great plant protein source that also are linked to regulating blood sugar and other things. So you really want to get those, and then you can get some of that brown rice or whatever rice you can find at the store. Cook up that rice, mix up all these canned vegetables and beans, and then once the rice is cooked, you mix it all together, and now you have rice and beans, and you can flavor them with whatever you want to flavor them. You can grill up some chicken or shrimp if you want to add it to it. You can serve it without the rice and make it a salsa. This is one of our favorite recipes because you get all the colors of the rainbow in one dish. You can feed your family for $10 or less, and it goes far, and everyone seems to love it. You can serve it with chips, you can serve it with the rice, you can serve it with or without cheese or chicken, whatever you want. But the vast majority of your plate is plants, and it's nutritious. So those are some of the things that I would recommend. That's one of our favorite recipes that our communities love, and it's something we like to do because it's so accessible and affordable.
Any recommendation on the spices to add to the
adobo? All day. People love adobo. You can get a massive one for pretty cheap, and it's it's easy to just keep a lot of that around. I also always tell people, use turmeric if you can. It's one of the most potent medicines possible. It looks like ginger but more yellow. And then add some black pepper, because the piperine in the black pepper helps your body absorb the turmeric. And anytime I cook or prepare something that is all feasible to add turmeric to, I do, for the reasons of how many medicinal benefits turmeric has. So that's another thing I would recommend. Great.
Thank you. Thank you for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me.
Where can the people find you on social media?
So Food Strong CLE, as in Cleveland, CLE. Food Strong CLE on all platforms.
Okay.
Easy peasy. And our website's foodstrong.org. And if you want to go there, a pop-up will show up. You can put in your email address, and you'll get probably no more than monthly, typically, emails that tell you about what we're doing and how to get involved.
Fantastic. Well, thank you.
Thank you so much for having me
on the show today.
And thanks for all you do to help spread the word that food is medicine.
We're trying. We're going to also, I've reached out to some people in some other cities, kind of like what you did going to San Diego, but get some other guests on that kind of talk about the same topic. So
wonderful.
This is starting to become, Cleveland's doing it, but there are other cities nationally that are getting more and more involved in that.
And that's where the movement's going to happen.
Yeah,
and that's
exactly.
So important. Thank you.
Yep, thank you. Please subscribe and follow the show every week where you listen to podcasts. Leave comments below or on the website, Eat Better Food Today. Thanks, and have a great day.
Thanks, Ken.
Thanks, Sarah.
All right.